G'day, Nick.
Hey mate, how are you?
How are you? Oh, you
Happy
haven't lost
can.
your accent?
Nah,
Don't put it on too much though.
no, it's softened over the years.
Now, this year, the big story I seem to be following your tweets and your Facebook is the building in New York,
Yes, indeed.
which they've torn apart the
Death
old
Star.
one.
Yeah,
Mr. Goldberg has made a bloody fortune.
yeah.
He's not here. He's on his boat in the Mediterranean somewhere. But you've got an opportunity to do a fantastic new building
Yep,
just
that's
around
correct.
the corner, apparently, like 4 blocks away. So what's going to be new, starting from scratch with RGA? I mean, with a building like that, you can do
Well,
amazing things.
There are a few things about the building. One is that it's an amazing space, and it's very connected. It's been designed with a way of working in mind, right? So, and I think it's one of the first truly connected offices. And two things have come out of it. One is there's a documentary that's been done by a guy called Gary Husworth, who did the documentary Helvetica.
Yes.
So he's done a documentary called Workplace, which is about
you're in it?
and it sort of follows us moving into the building. So it's an interesting sort of look at all the innovations that we have in this building. But the other thing is it's sort of like a prototype for a new practice. So we now have this practice called Connected Spaces, which sits within our business transformation team, our consulting team. And this whole process of moving into a new building was like a prototype for a truly connected office. We're going to do the same thing in Sydney, we're doing it in London, and we're going to roll one out in Sao Paulo.
And you can only do that when you start from scratch. There's nothing left in the building. You can
Well, no. The building was it was a bit of a complete rebuild, but that doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah,
Some of the innovations are very simple things.
Yeah, great.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah. So what is some of the elements that you think are new that you didn't have before or you've improved on?
Well, if you
You've still got the studio. You've still got some driving.
we've got the studio, and
production
it's a huge open space. It's the size of a football field. 2 floors. We've got the studio. It's all every conference room has got flawless video conferencing. I speak to Gavin every week.
Yep.
There's lighting that is that's every bulb in the whole office is addressable, which means that you can affect the temperature of the light, the color of the light. You can match the light inside with the light outside, so it sort of lines up with your circadian rhythm. Is that what it is?
No. There's lots of thoughts into a working environment that will help the people who work there.
Yeah, the whole environment, the whole building is on a raised floor.
Yeah.
Which means that you can put anything anywhere because you just plug into the floor. So it's very modular.
Yeah, that's good.
It's also when you arrive, there's these screens that show all the work and all the offices as you come in that are projected. But as you walk into the building, you can do a lap around the office, and you can tell exactly what RGA does.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of mapped out there. You can do a tour and see what people are working on, what clients we work on. You can see the work projected up see which offices we're connected with, see all the capabilities.
Yeah.
So it's sort of interesting. It's both useful for people who are working there because they're all connected, but it's useful as a visitor just to sort of know what we do.
Yeah.
It's like normally you go into an office, you go up to a lobby, you stop, in the foyer, and you could be anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
As Bob says, you could be at his lawyer's office.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's sort of apparent what we do, and the energy of that is apparent too.
Yeah, that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So we've got Sydney here, by the way.
Hey!
Hey.
There you go.
He's in the shade, which is probably a good idea, actually. How you go?
Good, man.
Good. So you're looking for this new office?
Yeah.
I presume they've told you about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we've been sort of in a temporary office for the last 3 years while we build. So to go into our own space and also get all the technology that will actually make it connected to New York, pretty exciting.
Which is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, the team's
because most people say have connected, but they're not really. You know, they've got to dial up Skype and hello. Nothing really connected at all, is it?
I mean, and we need it because we do work with the guys all the time. So
Yep.
you actually.
So it's actually it's not bullshit. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Integral to what you actually do.
Yeah.
Now, on that point, you're still working as a network. You know, you've still got Romania doing this. And
Yeah, I mean,
is that really sort of happening, or is it? Are they still you know, New York's got its own thing. And
No,
London does its own thing.
there are a few things.
Although this is George, he runs
George,
the whole PR world of RGA,
Very much a network.
based in London.
Yeah, yeah.
Good place.
The reason we work as a network, because it's better to work as a network. Every time we open an office, we send someone from the mothership.
Yeah.
So we always sort of put a little sapling of the main tree, so we have a natural sort of connection. You know, with there's like personal connections, but there's also just a simple fact that because we do so much stuff, right? We do like an accelerator over here, all the way to a Super Bowl spot over here, and everything in between. We've got a consultancy, we've got an agency, we've got a product and services company. You can't actually, there's no office, even New York, which has 900 people, there's no office that has every skill set.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty expedient to work in the network because there's always someone that you need from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, like,
And also time-wise, you've got a
Sydney
time
works.
zone thing too.
Sydney works
Yeah,
with Buenos Aires, you know, all the time because they've got great iOS developers. You know, we like working with some of the designers in Sydney, like top quality designers. You know, London has an awesome business transformation team that works across the network. So it makes sense from a business point of view, and culturally we're just predisposed.
Yeah,
we
of
like
course.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this year you've got a few pieces of work that could do well. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your sort of top contenders? I mean, I've just looked at the Beat Straight Outta
Straight Outta
campaign
Compton
was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's looking good. But what else? We'll talk about that one and others.
Yeah, so the Straight Outta Compton work should do well. I think it's a very simple idea.
Very simple.
It sort of
Caught on extremely well.
was huge when it happened. I mean, it was one of those things where the president was using it, and you know, and the Beatles, everyone was using it. It became a
Ringo
meme.
did it.
Ringo did
I
it.
know, I did that.
And it was a very simple idea, and I think it adheres to the rule that we apply to all the work we do in the communication space, which is if you can say something that someone else wants to say,
And for free
better,
too. A lot of celebrities did it for nothing.
You get network
They're
effects,
on- they're
right?
onto it, aren't they?
So you get scale. So there's that. We've also got a interesting Focus Motion, which is one of our accelerator companies coming out of the LA Dodgers accelerator.
Yeah.
It's a technology that tracks movement. It's an ingredient technology that a Nike or an Under Armour or an Apple could use
Yeah.
to track movement. It's very abstract, but it's pretty amazing. So that should do well.
You've got a session here with all your accelerators this year,
yeah.
like you did last year.
That's right.
So
yeah.
you sort of have 10. Is it 10 per year that you do?
We do. We actually end up doing more than that across the network. Like we did a hospitality one in Berlin. We're about to do one in San Francisco for retail. We're going to do a second sport accelerator in LA. So
The segment of the world.
yeah, they're generally around a theme or an industry, and we usually get a big sponsor. Like in the case of the sports one, LA Dodgers. In the case of the retail one, it's Westfield
Right.
Metro for
How's that working out? You know, I know you're doing it financially, which obviously you're doing it financially.
Yep.
Is it working out in other ways? I mean, by sort of
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
feeding out these new companies that you don't even know about, but you're
I
discovering them.
think it's good for our culture because I think that we grew as a creative organization, building products and services for companies like Nike, and typically it's a lot harder to do that now. Like the big platforms are hard to build outside of a company because they bring them in. We still do it, but Nike was a bit of an anomaly, that relationship, and so for us to keep that skill set sharp, this is perfect for us because so we get exposed to these founders that have this crazy energy that you don't get anywhere else.
And things you never thought of in your life.
We have this reputation in the startup community now because we have a unique way to do it. We basically trade.
You're not just putting the money in like a typical
No, that's right. We're
incubator situation. You're actually doing something with them.
We're using
Promoting them.
creative capital. That's
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
call it. And
yeah.
there's no other accelerator that exchanges for creative capital.
Yeah.
And we're going to have, in a few years we'll have 100 companies that would have equity in. So
Amazing. Yeah. And you're going to have one or two going to make billions.
one hopes. IPG hopes.
So where's the well? I'm just going to say where the industry is going. It's obviously going where you're going at the moment. There's lots of new
I hope
things.
so.
Give us a few
Well,
give a few other things that you're sort of noticing at the moment in Cannes. With
the industry is a strange thing. You know, people complain about Cannes. It's like, oh, they're giving awards for everything. They've got this.
Yeah.
But actually, the funny thing about Cannes is it sort of reflects how big and how connected our industry's become.
Yeah.
So it's not just that they're making a lot of money doing this. The thing is that it's more than advertising.
Yeah,
you can't be in advertising and not be connected to all these other things like software.
So it's not a sort
like
of a little
consultancy.
bullshit on the side. It really
No, I
is.
think it actually-
important, yeah. A lot of people think it is actually a
Well,
lot
it's,
of fluff.
I'm sure it's
and,
both very profitable, but it's also a true reflection of what's going on, which is that it's pretty hard not to be connected to everything else. And so our model is to be connected and to give clients, you know, a lot of things that make up something bigger. And so that's what. So the industry is going in all sorts of directions. It's being pulled apart.
Yeah.
There are bits of it that are dying. There are other bits that are becoming more important. It's pretty hard to see more than a few years in advance. But the biggest thing I think that will shape the industry is just intelligence. It's AI.
Yeah.
AI is going to change everything. It'll
Yeah.
be this layer on top of everything. So we're going from a model that's all about connecting everything to, I think, a model which is about how do you layer on intelligence onto everything. And that's not just like ad tech intelligence. That's like intelligence in all the objects that we use. It's how we do commerce, everything.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be affected by it.
Yeah. And the industry seems to be the perfect people in place who used to be very traditional skills. But the central ideas seem to be like you've grown up with your skills as an art director almost, and it still applies even today with and your general advertising skills can apply to the new era.
I think the model that we have, which is this idea of having people that are good at stories and people that are good at systems, it still applies. And in fact, I think the biggest thing is these things are becoming more and more entwined. So if you look at sort of interfaces now, interfaces that you look at through gestural interfaces or voice interfaces, you're often not just thinking about how to design the interface, but you think about what the story of the interface is, right? So if I'm doing commerce via text with some sort of intelligent bot, we need a great writer to figure out what's the voice of that bot, and how do you lead someone through that story. And then on the other side, we're getting to this world where you can't do a story in VR or in AR or in 360 where you don't think about the interface, right? Because if you put someone in the middle of a three-dimensional environment and you want to lead them through a story, you need to have an interface there so that you can lead them. So these two things, these stories and systems, are just getting like this, closer and closer together. So our model is perfect for that. We're very sort of lucky to have already established that way of thinking.
From an Australian point of view, you seem to say there's a lot of Aussies now coming to New York.
Places full of convicts.
You've probably got, 50 of them?
Oh, geez, mate. There was a time I'd feel unique when I'm having a meeting in RJ. I'd be the only one.
Yeah, you're special.
And now I sit down and like someone I've never met opens their mouth and say, where the fuck are you from? You from Wagga? Yeah, a lot of Australians in New York right now in the industry.
A few more coffee shops, I believe.
Better coffee.
Yeah,
It's helped the coffee scene, definitely. Yeah, I can get a